What's up, everybody? Back for another live beer review here on the Beer Patrol. And this is going to be the first of two separate live beer reviews I'm doing this evening. I split them into different videos because they're from two different breweries. And I want to kind of archive both videos for people who watch this on the replay, not live. So, we have some kind of record to go by. But anyway, the first beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Fatheads Brewery, and they're out of Middleburg Heights, Ohio. And this is their Hop JuJu. So this is what they are calling an Imperial India Pale Ale. Comes in at 9% alcohol by volume, 100 IBUs. And at the time of review, this can is exactly 11 days old, which is about as fresh as you're going to get it in the Western New York area. So my history with Fatheads goes back about 5 years. I want to say I first had a beer from them in late 2013, early 2014. And I was pretty much introduced to them by a former beer tuber and friend of mine. Well, I should say, former. I said former, right? Former beer tuber. The Johnny G over at the now defunct Crafty Beer Reviews. And he lived a couple minutes from the brewery itself. So anytime I'd go to Cleveland and hang out with him, he'd always have like special releases to drink. And he'd always pick me up beers. And every single year from about 2014 until about 2017, he would always grab me a bottle or two, because they haven't canned until this year, but a bottle or two of this. And honestly, it's one of my favorite double IPAs, period. This year, though, they are not only releasing it in February. This was typically a February-only release, but they're going to release it 3 more times, I think once each season. And for the first time ever, they're canning it because they just rolled out their new canning line, and this is the first beer that they are releasing with that new canning line. So it's pretty awesome. And like I said, this beer showed up probably middle of last week. So to have this beer show up basically a week old in Western New York, I mean, it's amazing. This beer has, they even say on their website, it has like a cult following. I'll read the back here. It says, award-winning gold medal 2013 and 2015 and bronze medal in 2016 at the Great American Beer Festival in the Imperial India Pale Ale category, and then a gold award in 2016 in the Imperial India Pale Ale category at the World Beer Cup. It says, this supernatural brew possesses a powerhouse of hops, creating aromas of citrus, pine, and tropical fruits with a juicy resinous hop finish. Witchcraft? Maybe just a hint. So they also on their website have the ingredients, which is nice. For yeast, they're using American Ale, malt, Pale, C15, Caramel Light, and then hops, Chinook, Centennial, Simcoe, Cascade, and Citra. And like I said, this kind of has a cult following going back to 2013, 2014. For a long time, they're Headhunter. And this beer, people would drive out of state to buy cases of it, and they love it. And I don't know if they love it that much to, this day. For me, still amazing. I had a bottle courtesy of my buddy Dan last year, still just as phenomenal as it ever was. Even with all the New England IPAs and double IPAs and stuff, this is still a bonkers beer. Great beer. Let's go to the comments here before I pour it and get into the actual review. We have Head Coach that says, first comment. Well, thank you, Head Coach. I appreciate it. Todd says, cheers, Joe. I cracked one to drink along. Mine is canned on 320. Are you in the future, Todd? 320 is like seriously a couple weeks away. I think you meant 220. Eric Gilbert says, cheers. What's up, Eric? Bumpy Road Brewery. Jesse says, is it flavored like a JuJu candy? It is not. It is not. It's just but it has like a nice candied sweetness. It's a great beer. Jesse, I wish I would have been able to grab this one for you and send it. Maybe I will still. Maybe I'll send you a small package in the near future if I can. Todd says, hi to everyone. Redbeard shows up and says, what be going down, people of the world? He didn't have the people of the world, but I did. So anyway, Todd says it is 220. Mine's 221, Todd, so mine's super fresh, a whole day fresher. But yeah, regardless, 11 days old. Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, let's crack it open. They started showing up, Fatheads in general, in Western New York about 6 to 8 months ago. Their core offerings, they're the aforementioned Headhunter, their Bumbleberry, which is their Honey Blueberry Ale, and their Sunshine Daydream, which is their Session IP. But we've started to get a lot of their, rotating and seasonal offerings. I was always hoping this one was going to show up, and sure enough, it did, and it did in cans. I mean, how can you beat that? I don't think you can. Anyway, we have a very nice, I would say, straight on orange color. The clarity is pretty nice on this one. Definitely a decent amount of carbonation, about a finger of an, I would say, off-white, light tan head. Definitely has a color that isn't white to it. But yeah, it plays the role of like a West Coast style double IPA. Matt Albright says, Hop JuJu is solid. Cheers. cheers, Matt. I think for me, I think it's amazing. But yeah, I think at the very least, even if you're not wowed by this beer, you'd have to say it's a solid and well-made beer. And then No Jinx, Jeff shows up and says it sold out in Toledo before I could get any. They'll probably have around 2, Jeff. And on top of that, I don't know if you caught the beginning, they are releasing this 4 times in 2019. It's going to be every 3 months or every 2.5 months. So this will probably be re-released sometime in late April to early May. So, you know, I would send one to you, but you're going to see it again. Just make sure you're kind of in the know when it shows up. Anyway, let's get a nose on it. Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay, so this is tons of like candied mango, candied peach, candied apricot. Kind of, I've mentioned this before in plenty of reviews, if you've watched any of my reviews anyway. It has this like peach gummy ring vibe to the nose, but there's a ton of like citrus too, like grapefruit, pithy grapefruit, big orange notes as well. But then there is that resinous, sticky, dank pine character on the back end. A little bit of like a floral and earthy hop note. I'm not going to lie to you. This actually smells way sweeter than I remember it. And I don't remember if, like I said, I don't remember if this was a big, you know, sweet beer when it comes to the nose. I feel, though, I do feel like this is sweeter than I remember it. Ashley Sexton Brew says, great copperish color to it. Yeah, it has this like deep orange copper color to it. I think on my camera it's probably coming off more copper. In real life, maybe a little bit more like brassy, if anything. But we're just splitting hairs. We're just splitting hairs. Yeah, tons of candied fruit, mostly to the tropical side of things. A little bit of citrus, more of the bitter and zippy, pithy citrus. But then a big resinous pine character, some earthy and floral hop components as well. Then there's an underlying malt presence that's more of like a straight-on white bread. But that's underlying, and I'm barely picking up on it, but it is there. Yeah, it smells good, but a bit sweeter than I remember it. So I'm going to dive right in. Cheers, everybody. Especially those of you who are showing up live. If you watch us on the replay, cheers to you, of course, as well. This beer is fucking absolutely just insanely delicious. I don't know how to... Listen, if you've never had Hop JuJu and you love big West Coast style double IPAs that hide 9% alcohol well, it punches you in the face with hops, but is somehow still reserved in some ways, this is the beer for you. It's certainly the beer for me. It's just like I remember it. Straight up front, all the malt sweetness, but also the juicy, fruity characters from the hops as well. You're getting a bunch of like white bread, but then that juicy orange, more of a juicy citrus. I'd say in the taste, this has more juicy citrus, more of like a blood orange sweetness, as opposed to the pithy, you know, like bittering aspect of like biting into, like, I don't know many people who just bite into a grapefruit, like just straight, you know, through the rind and everything. But as you get closer to the rind, it has that like pithy bitterness to it. And yeah, you're not getting that on the nose or in the taste. I was getting that on the nose. In the taste, sweeter citrus fruits, sweeter tropical fruits, the candied peach I was talking about, candied mango, stone fruits, tropical fruits, a little bit of pineapple. But the best thing about this beer is once you think it's going to be way too sweet and just all the juiciness, which I know a lot of people out there just want straight on fruit juice, New England style IPA nowadays is the way to go. This balances out so nicely, mid palate to the back of the palate. This is a pretty dry finish, but it also has a pretty big resinous pine character that lingers on the back of the palate. This is not a clean beer in the least. No, it's not clean whatsoever. Big resinous bitterness on the back of the palate, but there's still like lingering hits of like a sweetness too. That's just, oh man, it's not overly complex, but the half dozen characters that are here blend together so nicely that it just makes for like almost a perfect drinking experience when I want a West Coast style double IPA. What else we have? We have No Jinx. Jeff says, thanks for the info. Good to know. Yeah, anybody who watches this is going to show up multiple times per year if you get fatheads in your area. So don't worry if you miss out this time. You should be able to see it again. And I believe they're canning it now. And I don't know if it's in bottles. I'm pretty sure it's just in cans. Todd says, it does smell sweeter than I remember. It did. On the palate, though, totally not. Jo from the Party Source Reviews. Check out his channel. I think he's over 1,000 subs now, doing well. Amos does the beer reviews with him. He says, hey, how are you doing, my friend? Doing pretty damn good. How about yourself, Jo? Eric Gilbert says he's having a Sammy Claus Classic, son, 14% Mondays. Eric, you need to settle down. All right, you just need to settle down. I got another review coming. How you can handle your liquor. Jesse says, too many aromas. My nose wouldn't know what to do. I'm sorry, Jesse. My great, amazing palate that doesn't exist. I'm just pulling shit out of my ass. You know this. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then Jo and Jesse from Bumpy Road, they exchange pleasantries, high-fiving all around. Jo says, not able to get Fathead in Kentucky. Well, that's disappointing. I want to say something, Jo. If I'm able to sneak a couple beers into a beer mail I'm selling to Rajay, and he's able to drop it off, will you guys review them on the channel? Not that you have to, but a couple other half beers I was going to throw in there if you want. I'm sure you and Amos would want to drink them, but if you want to review them, that's cool too. Ashley Sexton says, there's no coconut in it, Jo. Your love for this is a lie. That is true. There's no Sabro or Cashmere hops in here, Ashley. And Eric says, you drink West Coast style? Yeah, just don't review them, you dummy. Yes, Eric, I do drink West Coast styles. I've reviewed actually a decent amount on the channel. But, you know, obviously not as much as New England style because that's not popular right now, and that's not what breweries are releasing. Anyway, yeah, this is an amazing beer. No problem, JL. I'll throw them in with Rajay. There'll be 2 beers from other half, and I will tell him to drop them off. Hopefully he can drop them off ASAP because they're pretty damn fresh. They're both going to be around like 3.5 weeks old. So I would like you to get to him as soon as possible, obviously, but we'll see what Rod can do. You know, no pressure on him. He can do what he can do, whatever. If they're 6 weeks old when they get to you, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Anyway, as you can see, I'm taking this down. Going to pour the rest in here. Yeah, this is an awesome beer. Like I said, I can't really say much more about this one. If you like West Coast style IPAs and West Coast double IPAs that hide the 9% well, that have a big, sticky, resinous pine character. I'm even getting sticky lips from the malt character. It's just, this is a sweet beer that gets cut by the dryness, gets cut by the pine resin. It makes for an awesome drinking experience. And I could easily drink 2 or 3 cans of this and be shit-faced personally because I can't handle my alcohol that well. And I'd have a great time doing it. This is a great, I guess, breaking up the monotony of drinking too many New England style IPAs. I always appreciate these more now. I don't know if my palate has shifted or I just appreciate them because I don't drink them that often. But when I do, I enjoy the resinous pine. I used to hate it. I love substantial bitterness now. So many of the New England style IPAs are too sweet. This one's sweet, but cut by all that resinous pine and bitterness. And yeah, it's just balanced. Todd says 3 weeks equals drain pour. Todd, I'm going to need you to settle down, buddy. I know I sent all your beers and they're like a week and a half old. But I'm going to need you to settle down. All right? I need you to settle down. Yeah, anyway. Redbeard says resin is awesome. In general, is it awesome, Redbeard, or pine resin awesome? Yeah, so yeah, not much more to say about it. Rating for Hop JuJu. It fluctuates for me because it definitely, there's batch variation from year to year. It is a smaller craft brewery. So you're looking at something that each year is going to be slightly different, despite the fact that the ingredients are the same. I mean, they've dialed in the recipe, but it's not always the same. This varies from a 4.75 to a 5 out of 5 for me. And I know that might be high for a lot of you guys out there. But this year, I would say it's not a 5 out of 5. Totally a 4.75 out of 5 for Hop JuJu, the 2019 release from Fatheads. Probably the highest rating, like West Coast style IPA / double IPA I will probably ever give. I can't see myself giving it a higher, higher rating. Matt Albright says, the more I think about it, the happier I am to see this in a can. For sure, man. And you know what? I know it maybe doesn't factor into a lot of people or when they're buying it exactly, factor into why they're buying or whatever. But like, trading beer and sending beer mails out, having it in a can, you really have you don't have to worry about it breaking. Yeah, someone might puncture the can, but if you pack it reasonably well, you really have no issues. Even if it freezes, it's probably not going to explode like a bottle would. And and it's also lighter. So you save money on shipping. Todd says, I'll pour them down my throat. Looking forward to talking about the other half beers to send his way. He also says, that's where I put it, a 4.75 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, despite, what your personal opinions are, what your ratings are, as Matt said earlier, this is a solid beer. At the very least, this is a solid beer for most people. I don't think you can argue this is has any brewing faults or is poorly made. It all depends on your palate. For me, I do think I give it a higher rating every time I drink it, certainly over the last 2 or 3 years because of all the crazy styles. Now you got New England style IPAs, you got milkshake IPAs, you got sweeter IPAs. So I appreciate now the more bitter double IPAs and regular IPAs, and they just sing to me. So as you can see, I'm pretty much going to finish this up. So I think I'm probably going to shut this down just so I can get ready for the next live stream. I might actually change that live stream to 8:30. Instead of 9, if I can still do that. So I'll be back in about 15 minutes. And I'm going to be doing Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout, a classic that I have not had in well over 5 years. It is just an amazing beer. Also, J.O. from the Party Source says, when it comes to the argument of bottle versus can, I say can it. I agree. A lot of people like to talk about, getting potential metallic flavors from cans and whatnot. I don't know if that's really an issue anymore. They have the linings that pretty much hide that flavor. The problem is there's a lot of potential harmful chemicals in those linings. So maybe down the road, we'll experience something that will make us say, don't can it and just put it in bottles. But for value, just you don't have to worry about the extra costs for shipping them. Because, they always say, like, whatever vessel you ship it in bottle-wise, you add, like, double the amount. So if this is a 12-ounce can, right, I think if you put this in a 12-ounce bottle, I think the bottle itself weighs almost 12 ounces itself, empty, or at least half of it. So you're talking an extra half pound or so, somewhere in that range. And when these places are shipping it and going through distributors and whatnot, you're adding a lot of cost from just shipping the beer, let alone anything else. So, yeah, anyway, last couple comments before I shut this down. Todd says, agreed. Kind of becoming a classic style. I agree. It's sad to say, but West Coast styles at this point are pretty much deemed classics. And I can't argue that because they were very popular over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And now New England style running rampant. So these are classic. You're seeing less and less of these. And I think you appreciate it more when you have less of something. Obviously, that's just how it works. And then Eric Gilbert says, yum, I think that's in accordance to the Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout that I will be reviewing momentarily. I appreciate everybody stopping by for this review. I'm going to shut this down and start up the Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout probably in 10 to 15 minutes. So I will see you then. I appreciate everybody stopping by for the live review. If you watch this on the playback, I appreciate it as well. And hopefully you guys can get your hands on some Hop JuJu because it's delicious. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by. And until, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes from now, I'm going to say